All right, so we're finally back to the first region that we had when we started this whole adventure almost 2 years ago. And that's southern Italy. And actually this time around, we're going to be really in southern Italy, comparatively to last time where we were doing Tuscany and a couple of other places. So, and just to give a little bit of a refresher on things. Give me a bit of a thumbs up if you see this. All right. So what we have here is, well, southern Italy.
Yeah, thanks.
And so the ones that we're going to be having tonight. So the first one that we're going to be having is the Falanghina. Now, Falanghina is named for Falanghe, which means the stakes that were supporting grapevines. And that comes from the Campania region, which is this little guy right here. Only place that does the Falanghina.
Yes. Now
Campania, what it means in Latin is fertile land, and it's where Naples is, and that's also the birthplace of pizza, along with what is it that I think they also are famous for their buffalo mozzarella. Yeah, and it's also what's the other place that's there? Mount Vesuvius is it kind of, well, because of the eruptions and everything, lends to the soil actually having volcanic ash in it. The second one that we're going to be tasting is the Cannonau. And that is over here on the kind of, forgotten cousin or forgotten second island of Italy. First being Sicily, that they're kind of jealous about. But Cannonau it's actually the Grenache grape. So that's your French Grenache. So it's that kind of lighter skinned, still kind of heavily tannic, but light to medium bodied grape. Now, Sardinia, it has a lot of granite and limestone soil. So hopefully we should be getting a lot more of that kind of minerality coming out in that wine. Third is our Montepulciano. Now this is, there's a couple of, in Italy, there's a couple of different references to Montepulciano. And this is the Montepulciano grape, which is different from the city of Montepulciano, which is up in Tuscany. But this, so, just try not to confuse the two. So because the grape that's grown in Montepulciano, which is the Mobile di Montepulciano, that's Sangiovese. But, so at Montepulciano does not grow a Montepulciano grape, which is kind of weird. But where it does grow is instead over here in the Abruzzo region. And so that's why you'll actually see Montepulciano Abruzzo.
Richard, that's where my late husband's family was from. His Italian family was from Abruzzo.
Ah.
And we drank a lot of this wine when we were there.
Okay. Yeah, and it's a really, I mean, you can confirm, but from everything that I've read, it's kind of one of the hottest places in Italy, like temperature-wise, which really makes for great ripening of red wines or red grapes. And at the same time, because the sea has that cooling effect, it lends to, because if it was just hot all the time, it would get kind of like a fat, flabby grape that just doesn't have any acid whatsoever. And instead, because of that cooling effect, you'll actually have a little bit of like acid that goes on with those grapes as well.
The best wine growing region is fairly close to the ocean. Abruzzo is very mountainous. It has several very high mountain national parks, but it slopes down to the sea.
Okay.
So on that last bit of slope down to the sea is where most of the Montepulciano grape growing is.
Good to know. And our last wine that we'll be having tonight is down here in the Puglia region. So our heel of the boot. And the grape was, so the bottle says Appassimento, but the grape that is actually in there is called Negro Amaro. And modern translation says that it means black and bitter, because it is a very, pretty tannic grape. But I guess then there's battles on that language, because the other one just means that it's like black, like dark black. So, take the translation however you want. But Puglia being where it is, it's just like constantly warm Mediterranean climate. So this should be kind of a much more, mature. I would probably think that this grape, or this wine is going to be sort of like a heavier Merlot, in terms of it being more smooth, not as much acid. But yeah, so that was kind of like the quick and dirty on Southern Italian wines we'll be drinking tonight. Any questions from anyone before we move on to the actual tastings? All right, I'll take the silence for shut up and let us drink. All right, so first of the night is our Donnachiara or Falanghina. Now, well, one of the funny things is if you actually look through all of your bottles and you look at the back where the importer is, they're all from the same importer.
Oh my God.
So Richard,
It's the CH in front of the I is going to make a K sound, so it's Chiara.
Oh, Chiara. Whoops. I'm forgetting my year of Italian that I took after Latin.
If you have any questions, let me know.
But yeah, but if you actually look at like imported by, every single one of these bottles is done by what's that? Sardinia Imports. So it seems like they are kind of like the premier Italian importer for the US. Now, as usual, we're going to be going through our deductive process for each of these. So as usual, we'll be taking our white piece of paper or something with a white background to it and holding that at a 45-degree angle. Put your glass up against it just to see what the color is. And it's like, it almost has a golden sheen to it, but I think this is definitely more on the light, like straw.
That's on the other one.
Yeah, I'd say this is definitely on the straw side.
Oh, right. I know.
okay, there's tiny bit of citrus.
And I think I'm gonna keep skipping the the leg portion to this, just because I mean it's kind of I don't want to say pointless, but that's definitely a little bit more snobbish. So let's just move on to the swirl and the sniff. Go ahead and give this thing a good swirl. Then stick your beak down in there and find out what you smell.
Or that when my landlord died, I would start hiring lawn servants. So
you're going to.
I'm gonna have to figure out something else to have that done.
Oh, so what do people get on the nose?
Honeysuckle.
Okay.
And maybe some mowed grass.
Hi.
You're getting a green character from it.
There's some stone fruit. I'm not quite sure what, but
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting is
Oh, maybe
somewhere
like a
between like white peach and apricot.
Something like that.
I feel like this isn't great at holding a form. Can that be
It's
served?
okay, it's
Is there a
fine,
better
it's
way?
fine. No, this is fine.
All right. Well,
Figure it out.
if there isn't any other additions to what we're smelling. Let's go ahead and give this thing our first taste. So, cheers.
Just musty, dirty, dusty, what, I don't know.
I stopped it, whatever it was.
It was the chemicals.
I got a lot of acid. Yes.
It's just on the sides of the tongue. Perks.
Oh, that's lovely. Just lovely.
Slightly tart, but
You do?
Oh, no, there's like a little, like a tangerine maybe, or maybe it's that white.
I'd say.
I think there's a little more here than than the typical Italian.
what was that, Asher?
You said slightly tart. I think it's a little more than slightly tart, personally. It's not,
It's a straight.
but yeah.
It's very strange.
The cheeses bring about, there's cheeses like rounded out,
Okay,
but it's still astringent.
really?
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, at least, for me personally, I'm not getting a lot of astringency from this. I'm getting a lot of heat. Like after I drink it down, I'm actually getting, like feeling a little heat in my chest, which, okay, well, I mean, for an old world white to be 13, that's a little hot.
High for a white.
But I mean, for me on the palate, I'm still getting that same kind of, like white nectarine, yeah.
I think I'm getting more of a grapefruit than a nectarine on the palate.
I like it.
Something more citrus than
Okay.
Which one?
Your palate is definitely on that sensitive, like citric acid side.
which is not as quite as much as Lisa's, but or maybe she's influencing my my opinion, but
Shall I hold it for you?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and try this with a bit of food, and if there's any just exceptional things out there, shout them out. Now, I would be thinking that, I mean, especially for those that think this is much more acidic wine, some kind of like salty cheese would probably really tamp down that acid.
Later, you get it all. Okay.
She's not happy with
There's a lot more. If you can eat it all, I'll probably get you a rise.
tried it with some mozzarella and it was kind of meh.
Jane at Hadestown today. He's gonna start followed by getting tickets. Stephen, Jane, I'm.
I'm trying with some Caesar salad. So a little bit of that kind of, fish and citrus.
Wasn't paying attention, I don't know what that was. But he told me that I wasn't saying that line, and I was.
It's a big cute one.
Oh.
And he's like, so if you don't say it, I'm just gonna keep on going. He did it to me too.
So at one point, I said it twice, and he didn't respond, and I said it.
Caesar dressing does not bring out anything in this wine.
He's like, I said,
All I taste after I drink
that was fun.
Falanghina is dusty lettuce.
So we need it.
But I was like, I'm really good at what I do. I'm like, are you though?
He was actually very good.
Got a little something going on with the cheddar. The pecorino, I think it's got too much salt for this.
Maybe a little too much.
Oh. How's everyone's glasses looking? Pretty empty? All right.
A little bit of salt, cheddar, but not as much.
Yeah, that one wasn't as I mean, I remember the first Falanghina that we had. For some reason, that kind of was really good. So I was kind of hoping for some good stuff with this one, but no, I'd say that this, I don't know, by itself it's kind of refreshing, but with food it isn't really hitting with anything like Italian based that I guess maybe if we had like with some shellfish or even just fish with some kind of citrus might go well, but at least of the things that I've had and it sounds like everybody else has had, it's kind of fallen flat.
Pasta together. We can do
It
that.
actually may be good with the cream sauce as well, Richard. I was thinking like a pasta with the cream sauce, like an Alfredo or something. It may pair nicely with that too. I don't know, but
It also went really well with a soppressata.
surprisingly,
It did pretty well with the burrata as well.
Actually, I almost forgot that I had some lobster ravioli with pesto. So I'll give it one more try.
I wouldn't say it's a memorable one. It's drinkable.
I mean, it's a white, but I mean, it's not a Chardonnay. It's
Okay.
pleasant.
That worked pretty well,
It's pleasant.
but it was the pesto, not the lobster part. Really didn't do anything for it.
Pleasant. Not, I've never had a memorable.
All right, so let's go with our Sardinian Cannonau. Oops, sorry.
I'm gonna put a little bit in just to wash the white wine out.
Got everybody off camera, so I'm having to like pour every which way. And everybody else, you can shout out, "You are cowards." Anyways, okay, so let's go ahead and again give this one a bit of a look by tilting it. And this has, I don't know, for me, it has the typical kind of coloring of like a Grenache, which is in that kind of rubyish. Yeah, it's like just a plain ruby. It's not light, it's not dark, just ruby.
Not a heavily, not a. There's no Petit Verdot in here to give it the deep, rich color.
You think there's Petit Verdot?
No, I was just saying it doesn't have the deep, rich color of.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't have like that purple.
It has a lighter look.
Yeah, well, I mean, Grenache is always a little. It has a lot more tannin to it. It just doesn't have a lot of body, and so you end up with this. Yeah, and that's why I've never really been a Grenache fan, because it almost seems like a bait and switch. You think you're getting this like dark, heavy, great wine, and then all of a sudden it comes out, oh, that's just kind of light and nice, but which is fine, just not what you were expecting when you were drinking. All right, so let's give this thing a swirl and a sniff. Let's see what we've got on the nose here.
Yeah, not a big nose. A little alcohol in the nose, a little not much on the nose.
smelling a little bit of red and black fruit, but is anyone else getting like a smoke smell on it?
Getting like a pepper, but
Okay.
Green pepper. Go back to a very light green full plate.
Yeah, I'm getting like a somewhere between smoke and like wet dirt.
I might try dirt.
Anyways, well, let's go ahead and give this thing a taste. So, cheers.
It's got a lot more flavor than nose.
It's not hitting me all around the mouth.
Side of the tongue and underneath.
It almost kind of sneaks up, like when I first take a taste, I don't really get anything like all of a sudden just like hitting my palate. But the more that it lingers there, you know, things like all of a sudden the flavors start to develop.
It seemed like it was taking its time to get up to the top of my palate.
Yeah, like right at first, you know, all I'm tasting is kind of like almost like dried, I don't know, like almost like prunes. And then all of a sudden, you know, it just kind of goes into like dusty leather.
Pecorino is what I need this one.
Corey, is the pepper that you were smelling coming out in on the palate?
no, it's gone. It's way more mellow than what I was smelling.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and,
Got a little bit of oak here.
oak. Okay. Now, when you say oak, I mean like, are you, like actually tasting oak, or like kind of like a woody flavor, or is it like kind of like chocolate, vanilla, coconut, dill, or is it just like cedar wood?
Maybe cedarwood.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, a lot of Italian wines, especially, you know, ones that kind of do the old method, you know, store their wine in pretty neutral oak that, you know, it's been passed down for generations. And those natural, just that natural oak. I mean, that's pretty much all that's left is just the flavor of wood comparatively to, you know, all those other compounds that are in fresh wood.
It's not a bad thing.
Did you pass the salami roll, whatever we're calling this?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and try to pair this, and hopefully we find some good matches out there. I'm hoping that the red fruit's going to really kind of come to the forefront with, you know, everything that I've got with red sauce in it.
I think so too.
Yeah, we screwed up, Richard. We bought Parmesan Reggiano instead of the Pecorino. And believe it or not, the Reggiano is an amazing match with this wine.
Okay. Well, cheers on you for, you know, the mistake that, you know, has
Is it
made this wine.
real big and salty? It's not standing up to any of the wines yet.
This might be interesting.
Yeah, I just had some pasta with red sauce and spinach. And what was weird was that the green of the spinach actually came out more than like any kind of cherry, which was, again, just very interesting.
Pairs really well with the peppered salami, like you suggested.
Okay.
Also, with a fig jam, it brings out the sweetness in the jam.
Damn,
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it's a better pairing.
Yeah, we kind of like this with the pate. We may be frozen.
What kind of pate?
I don't know. what was it?
It's Trader Joe's, their truffle pate.
Oh,
I'm not tasting a lot of truffle.
No, you're not gonna get a lot of truffle for.
So they wave the truffle over the pate.
Well, maybe a little
Shave it
truffle,
just a little.
maybe a little truffle oil, who knows?
Well, I see little flecks of black, so I think they sprinkled a little. But actually, I'm really kind of liking it with the pate. But I also had a meal in France of pate and a rosé wine, and it went well. So I think sometimes maybe a lighter red works with pate.
yeah, it usually does. I mean, yeah. I mean, like the typical wine that you have with pate is Pinot Noir.
Mhm.
So it kind of makes sense. I mean, again, for Grenache, it wasn't bad, but also being able to say, hey, I had a Sardinian, wine, and that was okay.
Nice thing, isn't it?
Oh, okay. How's everyone's glasses looking? Pretty empty? Almost empty?
Getting there.
Almost. We're getting
Okay. Give you a couple more minutes.
Oh, I didn't try this. Oh, I like the pate.
Oh, heck, I'll know to bring more of that whenever. So, but I mean, it's one of my favorites, and often you can only get it like holiday season, Christmas time.
We're also concluding that we really like the pate, whatever the wine.
I'll save some for the rest of them because it might also make the next two.
Oh yeah, there's plenty. And if it's Trader Joe's, so it should be available,
Everywhere.
other places, generally, but maybe not all the time.
Yeah, personally, I like it year round, and I pick it up when I see it, but and they've still got it into March now, but often it's only around the holidays that they have it, Christmas time. It's one of my favorites.
Okay. Pesto really made this thing kind of, pop. I like that. I mean, all of a sudden, because I love basil, and that just made all of a sudden the basil goodness like really, really shine. All right. So we are on to our Montepulciano di Bruzzo.
Pretty purple.
Oh, I like that color.
I mean, of all of these, I mean, this one's kind of our most aged. Now, if you see the at least for mine, it's a 2017.
Okay.
I don't know what year is that?
2017.
2017. It's a real purple.
13%.
That's what you're getting off of it? Purple? Because I'm still getting kind of This is much more of a, to me, it's just dark ruby.
Well, I think it's kind of purple. Get rid of this.
Yeah, I mean, light's kind of shining through it.
I don't think we've gotten it.
Because usually once you start to get to purple, you know, like light's not passing through it.
And I think it may be more the shade than the intensity that I'm referring to. So
Yeah.
more magenta, you know, purple.
Is this one the one we're on? We lost track.
What was that?
Is this the one we're on? We lost track.
Yes, the Barba.
Sorry.
Okay, not the string
Our
one.
own world.
No, not the string one. That's last.
Sorry, which wine are we doing? I think I mixed it up.
The Montepulciano. So it's the Barba Vigna Franca.
I may have
Okay,
one.
yeah, I did the wrong one. One second.
It's not generally a complex wine, but they eat an awful lot of lamb.
I'll wait for everybody to get back up so that we can all kind of smell together. Let me know when you've got the right one in your glass.
Not much nose.
Just in case you didn't notice, there are 2 slices there, which is fine. I've been rational. No.
Or you got the right wine now?
Yeah, we're caught up.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That wasn't your intent.
All right, so let's go ahead and give this thing a swirl and a sniff.
Every once in a while, they don't always.
All right. So what are we smelling on this one?
Thickness and such. Try to. My favorite phrase is barnyard.
It's smelling like baked pears.
I smell steak.
Oh, it smells like grilled meat.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty surprising.
Yeah, no, now that you've got that brain worm stuck in me, and now I'm smelling it too.
Point of information, in Abruzzo, the major meat is lamb, and they eat a lot of lamb, and they're famous for their lamb. And this is the wine they drink with the lamb.
Ooh. Good to know. All
Now
right.
I want lamb.
Unfortunately, we didn't get any today.
Just close your eyes and think the pate's lamb.
Yeah.
All right, let's give this thing a taste. So cheers.
Although Amsterdam's the quantity of meat I eat these days, it's like I should splurge and go get some little meat chops.
This feels a little rounder, not heavily tannic.
All around the mouth.
All around the mouth.
What are people thinking on the palate here?
This feels rounder, but not heavily tannic.
The tannins for me kind of, again, are on the finish. Like it all of a sudden just kind of dries my tongue out. But
the bottle brush.
But the red fruit goes away, and all of a sudden now I'm like strictly into like somewhat fresh blackberries.
Like what? The bottle brush? Oh yeah. Big attractive. And it's just starting to flower now. Don't you love all the birds in my backyard?
There's also quite a bit of spice on this one.
Smaller than what we have. We're all small birds.
You know what kind of spice? Is it like
See,
Like
it's hard out.
baking spice, black pepper?
Is the white crown sparrow.
Let's say,
When they come back in the fall,
We're thinking pepper.
I hear them, and then I say the black crown sparrows are back, and then about a day later, I see them.
yeah,
Yeah.
our neighborhood are much bigger birds. It's the hawks. it's
Now,
the-
well, I guess the other question is that grilled meat smell coming out on the palate?
Occasionally coming after the little birds, but
You know, we've got nesting hawks. This is their territory.
that's why you don't have any little birds.
Yes.
Well, I'm hoping that
Okay,
Yeah,
this
the,
is surprising.
the beef bolognese is really going to make this one shine.
That's a yum.
So let's go ahead and
Yummy, not bright bird.
try with some foods. Uh-oh, party foul.
Alcohol abuse. I am so sorry. Get you all over the place.
Someone over there is cut off.
Is that what you call a drinking
host.
problem?
They can wash that?
Nah.
Okay. I'll just-
Okay, yeah, that lasagna bolognese, that is really going well with this wine. So this is definitely a meat one.
We got it before it got too crazy.
Yeah.
That was the spring wine.
Any other winners out there?
A few droplets out. The rest can
I need to
stay.
try it. There's a reason I brought the whole thing.
And I'm really glad I wore sandals instead of shoes.
The spiciness on the salami definitely brings out the spiciness in the wine. I really like. It's still really mellow though. It's not a full-bodied wine like I was expecting from the smell.
It's a mellow wine. It's a smooth wine.
Yeah, that pesto's.
Barba, baptism is tomorrow.
No, no, this is communion.
You got a good pedal. Sorry. See, I'm really glad it was sandals.
And jeans.
Oh, there.
So how's it working with the mythical Trader Joe's pate?
Well,
Well, now the other wine is blended with the pate. So I would think it's going to be excellent.
The pate is now marinated.
Yes,
Yes.
and so is one guest.
I don't, I'm not sure if I like the first red better with the pate, or if just it perked the first wine up more.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is again, much more kind of dark. Yeah, and like I said, to me, it's kind of, well, I mean, other people have said that's peppery. I got a little bit of leather from it. That
Leather and bell pepper for sure.
yeah, comparatively to the last one, which was, pretty, much more light on the palate. I can see this one kind of like dominating pate. This you're looking at something with, like flavored pork sausage, some type of braised beef. Starting to get into, again, that bolognese.
Right, with the blueberry cheddar. I'm kind of liking it with the blueberry cheddar.
Which one are we?
What? Was it the blueberry cheddar or blueberry Wensleydale?
It's a Wensleydale. Wensleydale's it's a cheddar-ish kind
Okay.
of base,
Yeah.
but with blueberries stirred into it.
Yeah,
I'm kind of liking it with that.
yeah, I think I've gotten a wedge of that from Costco before. And it's pretty good.
We're all good because Joyce has found a happy place.
And that's where we all hope to end up.
Oh, okay.
It pairs quite well with the pecorino. Damn, I'll get it.
Is it because the saltiness kind of like brings out more fruit, or what?
It honestly, and like the spiciness comes out a little bit again. The salt definitely, like the extra salivation when I'm drinking the wine as well. It's just a good mouthfeel.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've come to a strange conclusion that this wine works with both the hummus and the blueberry Wensleydale.
Hummus. Okay.
The first wine, the hummus was too much for. I mean, the first red.
Interesting.
Well, that's the first wine.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say like hummus. I usually kind of think of as more of a white wine food, but the fact that you're actually finding, that it matches up with the red wines, that's awesome.
In my family, the saying is that white wine is what we drink when we're not drinking.
Yeah, I like your family.
That's my in-laws.
Oh. All right. How's everyone's glasses looking? Actually, I still see wine swishing around. So I'll give everyone a couple more minutes, and then we'll head on to our last.
Now let's see if it works with blueberries.
That's not the functioning alcoholic.
What?
Functioning alcoholic is mine.
Oh, okay.
But I think it was hard liquor.
Yep.
And
Wasn't you in
more
the
I didn't try it.
After showed up at dinner. 45 minutes late, walked in the door and says, I need a drink. They're not serving alcohol. And walked out and found the bar.
Try just a couple of blueberries with this one.
I need a little more of this one.
I did too. It's never expensive. This is a wine that's reliable. It is what it is, and it's never expensive. Chase the blueberries.
They all ended up on the plate.
No, there's one.
Okay, there we go.
All right, one more minute, then we'll head on to the Negro Amaro.
We still have.
I didn't tell him.
It's about 80%.
I was just kind of stunned and unable to deal with it.
Yeah.
Let's see how it does with the salsa. I'm not sure. I think maybe not.
Person who didn't respond quickly to this kind of crisis turned out to be Bob.
All right, we are moving on to our last. So, Vino Pasito Appassimento. Rosso. Now this is a 2020, so I mean this is real young, especially compared to the last one. Which to me, you know, I would guess that this.
Try this also, so
I'm not sure if it's actually been aged in any kind of oak, because I mean, if it effectively was from last year's harvest, or well, a year and a half ago's harvest, it can't have been in the oak for very long. But as we're looking at this one, now I was actually hoping this was going to be a lot darker than it is, especially for the name. But I mean, this is just more just ruby. I'd almost say this one's lighter than our last one.
I need to get it before Barbara tries to spill it again.
But it also doesn't have nearly the rim variation that the last one did. I mean, the last one, you could tell that it was a little bit aged.
Wow, but it,
But it's got a nice color to it. But I mean, considering that it's like, I want to say verging on red, but yeah, it's like a lightish ruby.
that's a color of a garnet. I was actually kind of surprised that Montepulciano wasn't last.
All right.
If you'd asked me, I would have put it last.
Mention that.
Say garnet. Yes.
Garnet, definitely
Yes.
garnet.
That's actually probably, you know, more, well, the usually I use, I thought garnet, at least I'm trying to remember back, that garnet is more towards where it starts to almost like brown. And so that's usually, you know, like a signifier of like some type of aging, because it's got a little bit of like a brown tinge to it. And so usually it goes like red into ruby.
Oh yeah, very good.
And then purple. But as it ages, usually your ruby switches over to garnet and red switches over to gray.
Well, rubies are kind of pink, and garnet I've always thought was prettier than ruby.
A little orange.
Yeah, it's a little orange, it's a brighter color.
Yeah.
Also from green.
Okay. So this is a 2020 and it's 14.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that because this one's, you know, a much younger wine, that, I mean, even though it's still going to be old world, that hopefully we'll be getting a lot more fruit out of this one than we did, well, either of the other two.
It's got a
So
bigger nose than anything today.
Yeah, so let's give this thing a swirl and a sniff, and let's see what we got on the nose.
That's a 14.5. So I can understand the order, but it's got a big lovely nose.
Maybe it's bigger than we think.
It's got a big lovely nose compared to everything else.
So I'm smelling like baked dark fruit. This is like somewhere between blackberry pie and like almost like a stewed plum.
So the color is kind of a misdirection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was almost expecting this thing to smell, well, at least smell and taste more like cherry, but no, I'm definitely getting a lot more dark fruit on the nose.
It's a much bigger nose than the Montepulciano.
Yeah.
Richard, I have a quick question. What was the name of that chemical where it smelled like omega purple or something along those lines?
Had a better palate.
What was the chemical? Or are you talking about like mega purple?
Yeah. What was the I guess what would correspond with that? You
Oh,
said it was like
the smell. The smell
Yeah.
kind of smells like a wrestling mat.
okay. So I'm getting something that kind of smells similar to like banana gum. So I'm kind of like worried right now.
Huh.
But he would.
Banana gum, like almost like that fake banana smell.
Yeah, exactly. So I was wondering if that would be similar to because there's a special when the cork goes bad or something along those lines.
Well,
I can't remember.
Yeah, like I mean, like TCA, you know, where it's that like corking, but that should smell more like mildew or like a wet dog.
Matches, it smells.
What there was like a chemical that they would put in wines that would be closer to that I guess wrestling mat smell that you were talking about.
because it's 2020. And it's not-
Right.
Mm, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if like an added chemical.
This is the Negro, the black and bitter. Negro.
All right, well, let's give this thing a taste. Hopefully,
Richard, do you think the nose on this is really, really muted compared to others?
I mean, to me, a lot of these, but it also kind of corresponds to a lot of just old world wines. Yeah, they're very muted on the nose. You know, because you're not really getting a lot of fruit. You're then starting to have to like parse out, okay, which of these which of these new world secondary characteristics am I smelling? Is it like earthy stone? Is it leathery? Is it cola? Yeah.
Oh, it's very nice. I'm glad it was the last.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but that's just old world, where all of a sudden they're a lot more subtle and complex compared to new world, which just kind of punch you in the face.
We'll be looking your patio for years.
It just surprises me a lot, Richard, because the first two you tried seemed pretty good, and I could really get something on the nose. But this one, it's more like a mystery to me.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm getting more fruit than I did from the Montepulciano.
Yeah.
Just like I said, some kind of like stewed, cooked dark fruit. But even that, it's not big. It's you have to kind of work at smelling that.
Yeah, that's what I get primarily is the dark fruit, but that's it. I don't get much else.
I mean, to me, I'm still smelling a little bit of that kind of like dust. Yeah, where it's just this kind of like, yeah, it's just dust and almost kind of like wet dirt. But well, let's see what we taste on this, because a couple of the others out there have not smelled as well, and then all of a sudden like they pop in your mouth. So
Like the wine friendly.
I'm looking at the salty one against this. No, the pecorino.
Mhm. I think this just goes with any red wine.
This stands up to the pecorino.
Does? Okay.
Hmm.
Is that the first one that stands up to a peppermint?
Yeah. This one fights back.
So my first impression is that dark fruit, is definitely at the forefront of this one. Which, again, if you're, thinking about, well, where it's from, Puglia, that, that being kind of that warm region. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's what I had said at the beginning when I was talking about this grape growing where it is, that I would expect this thing to kind of have the same taste and mouthfeel of, say, like a Merlot, like a California Merlot. And that's mostly what I'm getting on this, is that same kind of like dark and almost like black and blue fruit.
Maybe a Merlot, but
Yeah, it's almost like a California fruit bomb, but it's a different type of fruit bomb. It's got that fruit forwardness, but the fruits are different than you get from a California
Maybe
wine.
this is what we want to drink young. Maybe that's why.
It's difficult to explain, but
Yeah, well, I mean, the flavors here are what I would consider more fresh,
California
like
wine.
fresh and ripe, compared to like cooked and stewed that most California Merlots would have.
20, 30 years ago.
but still very fruit forward.
Yes.
You had to sit-
Which is both surprising and, especially for, again, an old world red. Yeah, you'd be expecting that, again, more of that leather and dirt was, kind of is where it's at the forefront, and now you're starting to like pick through, what kind of fruits am I tasting that are playing second fiddle.
Easy.
We're breaking out dark chocolate to see how that goes with this.
Oh yeah.
Chocolate. Or mango and chocolate, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
No, I think it does.
I mean, it's a completely different flavor palette.
And we're disagreeing whether or not the dark chocolate goes with it. So
What percentage dark?
72%.
Ah,
Jay doesn't like it. Laura does.
see, I'm wondering if, because there's different, I mean, like for a cab, you're looking at, you actually want dark, I think the dark chocolate is supposed to be more like 56%. And then, yeah, just, I think for the Merlots, you're wanting something that's a little bit higher. So yeah, it really comes down to your palate. But
Yeah, it's like night and day, the two. When I'm having this with the cheese, or we're doing an oil and pasta, then there's a real creamy kind of element to the mouthfeel, and also the fruit forward stuff. You put the chocolate in your mouth, and the wine becomes smoky and more bitter, more tannic.
I agree with him.
North Lighthouse. Across from House 50. And I'm
The
not
fruit is-
sure if it is a distributing for homeless or what it is. Oh,
Laura.
related to this. Yeah, but it's,
I like
I've been
the
trying to figure out for.
I like the chocolate
I
too.
don't like them together.
Right.
Is a limited vision.
This lighthouse for the blind, yeah. But this is
Yeah,
their,
trust me, Barbara.
this is.
I know that so well. All my years.
All right.
especially early years.
So I actually have some 56% that is for cab. So I'll be trying it with that and see if it's better than the 72.
They never wrote, they clubbed ink all over everything.
Oh, Tom-
And the government had to buy these.
Tom had a wonderful watch with a big dial that he could see. And people would always say, "Oh, what's that watch?" And they never wanted to tell anyone he got it from Legos.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
What was it?
So definitely that lower percentage.
My early
At least
introduction.
it's again, it's one designed for cab that I think is actually working pretty well with this. Like there's no bitterness whatsoever. It's just kind of creamy.
After a while, I'm getting where he's going.
Well, on that note,
So I'm thinking this is a wine you wouldn't lay down. And there's a reason why it's the 2020 that we're drinking.
yeah,
That it's kind of fruit forward, and it stands up to the pecorino cheese. But it's not one you'd lay down and drink 5 years later.
I'd say 5 years is the max. This is almost like a California red where, 5 to 6 years.
That's what we were thinking. This is California wine drinkers would go along with this.
Yeah. This is, I'd say at max, it would peak, in about 3 or 4 years. But yeah, this is definitely not like a lot of French and Italian reds that, can sit for 20 plus years and still taste delicious.
There's 4 open to bottle.
Hey, Richard.
It doesn't have enough tannin to be a real lay down one.
Yeah.
From a great point of view, I know you mentioned the one was you mentioned the grape for one of the bottles, but are any of the other bottles like a grape we might have heard of outside of Italy, or like you mentioned the one was a Grenache, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about
any of the other bottles, something we may have heard of as a bottle from another varietal that may be kind of famous in another region, or else like that?
No, I mean, yeah, pretty much the only one is the Grenache. Everything else is pretty native to that area. Yeah, the Falanghina, I think the other, like its cousin is the Greco, which is also from that same little area, but he doesn't really have a cousin in like Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc or anything. And yeah, the same thing with the Negro Amaro and the Montepulciano. I would probably, if I was a betting man, I would say that the Montepulciano is probably going to be like a cousin to like a Sangiovese. But
Okay.
All the ones we had-
past that, you know, I think these are all, you know, like very
Excuse me.
very specific to that area, and its family lineage probably goes back hundreds of years.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that was kind of because it was very interesting to me because you know when you listed these wines, I've never heard of them at all, which is kind of interesting. You know when you listed them out, so that was interesting to hear that. So thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same thing with a lot of the, like, if you look at like all the names of Greek wines, yeah, and they have like some crazy names to them, but they are strictly Greek wine. You know, they don't come from France at all.
I think
No.
I've got like
Maybe in 3 weeks.
But on that, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude the recording. But before that, I was gonna say that in the next tasting will be in 4 weeks, because we kind of pushed this one forward a bit. But now we're going to be going north to northern Italy.
It's not like I don't.
And so, you know, I'll probably be doing that one as the mail order, just because we can probably get some cheaper yet high quality northern Italian wines. You know, especially, I mean, my love is a Piedmont Barolo. And so I can't wait to, you know, hopefully have, you know, like, well, share some of that love with the rest of you guys. And then I'll probably, the other ones will probably be, well, I mean, we'll definitely be doing like a Tuscany Chianti, probably an Amarone. Yeah. Yeah. And then trying to think of like what white, I mean, beyond Prosecco, I guess we probably just do something that uses that same Glera grape. So yeah, but other than that, wave goodbye to YouTube, and then.
So when are you thinking of that?
That'll be in. I'm thinking in 4 weeks, so that'll be on the.
We'll be in Sicily.
Oh, okay.
We were hoping it would be 2 weeks for one more Italian wine class.
Yeah, no, because normally we've been doing these every 3 weeks, but we had to push this one up for Team Foodie, and in 2 or 3 more weeks, I've got an event that I've got to go to. So the thing that worked out was push this one up to 2 weeks, push the next one out to 4. And so, yeah, the next one will be on the April 30th.
We'll actually, April 30th will be in Rome.
Okay.
And then the next day we'll be in Sicily.
International travel, finally, COVID.
All right. Well, again, wave bye to YouTube, and then we'll just keep on with the socializing. So, bye.
Thank you, Richard.